Welcome everyone. Today I'll be demoing to you how you can manage internal and external users using Adya. First, let's talk a little bit about the use cases that matter here and what our customers looking for. Managing external users is probably the most important set of use cases that our customers talk about. For example, in some cases, customers have worked with external users, partners, consultants, etc., whom they had given access to 6 months ago, a year ago, and who still have access to company documents. Links were created, links were shared, and then it was never revoked. Consultants have moved on, but they still continue to have access. So you can now find out with Adya which external users have access and very quickly revoke access. Second, external access users have been provided too much access. They want to take a closer look on a user by user basis on how much access they have been given to which file, and more granular access can be controlled using Adya. Internal users are users within the company who have an email address within your domain. The first set of use cases is around employees who are leaving or are being terminated from the company. So once an employee has served his notice and is leaving the next 2 weeks in a month, then what you really want to do is have a system that will watch their actions to ensure that no critical documents are being accessed or downloaded or potentially taken with them as they move on. Second, you want to additionally remove them from accessing any files that are owned by others, so they can continue to work with the files that matter to them that they own, but you can control access to anything else. And once they leave, you want to transfer ownership of some of the documents to one user and some to another. In other systems, even in G Suite natively, you can transfer ownership of everything from one user to, let's say, their manager to another user. What we are allowing you to do here is to get much more granular control around exactly what you can do as they move on. In another use case, IT wants to make sure that an executive or a CEO's documents are private, which means only they are owners to those documents. With one click, they can do so. Another use case, there is a group, let's say it's the finance or the HR group, who provide material to the rest of the organization. IT wants to make sure that those documents cannot be shared with anyone outside of the company. Once again, with a single click, they can do so. Let's look at all of this with a product demo. As always, you start with the home page, the dashboard. Right? So you click on the external users widget, which takes you straight to the users pane. On the users pane, by default, because of the widget we came from, it's filtered to show you the external users, but you can see all of the internal or all users at once. All of these are clickable. So here you get a view of all of the users outside of your domain who have access to one or more documents inside your domain. Let's click on one of them. So you can see with that click what documents any user has access to. Then you can very quickly take action to remove all access to that user or change permission on exactly what they can do, whether they can read, write, etc. Right? So that is, if you want to, you can view the document before you take an action. Let's remove access for this user. And that's it. Once you remove access, that access is taken away immediately. Close the dialog and our system will auto update immediately. Internal users are a lot more interesting in some cases because there's a lot more controls provided to you and a lot more access that is given to them. Right. Let's look at an internal user. You can see all of the groups that they are a part of. You can remove them from any given group through this console. You can add them to any new group from here as well. You can take quick actions We'll go through them one by one, or you can take document by document actions. You can see all of the documents owned by that user. So that's in one tab here. You can see all of the documents that are accessible by that user, means owned by others but accessible by that user, and their level of exposure, right? You can see all of the activity of that user, right? And all of the apps that have been installed by that user, right? So now you can take quick action. Let's say that you can transfer ownership of all documents owned by, in this case, this internal user to someone else. That took care of one of the use cases above. You can remove access from outside of the company for all documents owned by this user. For example, we talked about a group, HR or finance, where you just wanted to make sure that only internal users have access to documents owned by finance. You can do that. You can remove access to everyone for all documents owned by that internal user. For example, the CEO's documents, which have to be private and never shared. Right? Or in case the user is leaving, you want to make sure that nothing that user cannot access any documents owned by others. You can also sign up to get a report of all of the activities for that internal user. So these are all quick actions that you can take for internal users. You can take document by document actions as well. So for documents that they have right access to, you can make them owner, you can change privileges, etc. And you can also see what all of the applications, third-party applications, have been installed by that user, the degree of risk, which is color-coded here, red, yellow or blue, and the scopes that have been granted for the app, and you can remove it from here as well. We'll talk about apps in another demo. Right. So this is the level of control that we have provided for you, again, both for internal users and for external users. You can also see, we have shown a flat list of users. You can also see a groups level view, right? So you can see, for example, which groups are there and click on it and get more information as well of all the users in that group. Right? Next, we'll do a demo about managing documents through Adya.